right, welcome back everybody. This week's going to be fun. It's always fun when we can dive into a Beatles classic. This is going to be Here Comes the Sun by the Beatles, written by the great George Harrison. And I've got sun on my mind. Just got back from Panama City Beach, Florida for about a week with the family, which was fantastic. And I was trying to escape the punishing sun that we have here in Middle Tennessee right now. But yeah, it was great to get out and get some healthy beach sun, which was awesome. Anyway, so Here Comes the Sun. This is a fantastic song, which you can sound just like George on a regular old 6-string acoustic guitar and a capo. And so I'm going to take you through all the guitar parts that you hear on this song. And there you go. So if this is the kind of thing that you like and you haven't done so yet, please jump down, click subscribe, ring the bell. Bell will tell you when I drop new content. I do that every single week. All my videos have chapters in them. You can jump right to the part of the lesson that you want to see and bypass what you don't. And if you're looking for other ways to support the channel, I appreciate that. There's thanks, just like throwing a tip in the tip jar. Or even better, you can join my Patreon page where I've got chord charts and tabs for all the lessons I do on YouTube. The link's down below. Check it out. All right, so Here Comes the Sun. Let's get into it. So yeah, like I said, acoustic guitar, capo on the 7th fret, standard tune, but then you capo on the 2nd fret. And when I call out the chords today, I'm going to call out the chord shapes, but you'll see them over my shoulder, but it'll have the correct sort of pitch of what the, when I call this a D, it'll say A. Right? You get it? So anyway, yeah, let's talk about this. So there's basically, as far as I can tell, there's kind of 3 guitar things going on, or tracks. There's the basic sort of guitar that's driving the whole thing that we all sort of know, but he's also recorded some guitar overdubs, which I think there's a 2nd acoustic on there, accentuating some parts. And there's an electric part, which I'll talk about in a little bit too, that pops up a little bit. But let's get to it. So they, just 30 seconds on song history, interesting to me. They recorded this on Ringo's birthday, like the basic track, turns out. It was on Ringo's birthday in 1969, and John wasn't on the session, so it was Paul, George, and Ringo doing the main track. And then they sort of did overdubs over the coming weeks, which included the Moog organs stuff, and there were some guitar overdubs that George did before we get to the final product that we see. But let's go. So the acoustic, very delicate, and what you'll notice is he's not overplaying it at all. He's very, very light touch with it, but he's picking the vocal melody, out of the chords that you're doing. And it's funny, you listen to it and it really is like he's... there's a little bit of the chords that you saw in there, but the emphasis was on the singing vocal melody that you hear, which will come through. But anyway, so that's the approach. We're gonna sort of strum these chords a little bit, but you're gonna emphasize the notes where the vocal melody is. So we're gonna start on a D shape. And the song just opens with the initial acoustic guitar. That little thing. And actually, I don't think it's a big thing. I think it's just... right? That's all there is. And you're sort of bouncing back to hit the root note every once in a while. That's a G shape. And an A7 shape. And that's a lot of the song right there. know, so that vocal melody, just purely the vocal melody, that's what he's emphasizing on all of these. There I go with the big strum again. There wasn't a big strum. And you just hear these lilting sort of, as he's jumping back on the back part of the chord to support it. And that G is interesting. It's like a G major 7, right? Which is an interesting sort of fingering. If you haven't done that one, you're sort of muting that 5th string. Right? And then he's going to come in and he's basically singing, I guess it's the chorus, right? Here comes the sun. And then we get to our first different part. So this is an odd time signature. It's one of the 2 sort of odd time signatures that that jump up in this song. I'm going to play the part, and then I'm going to describe the sort of, well, the timing that's happening with it. So I forget which Beatle documentary it was, but it was Ringo, and he was talking about working this out with George. And, you know, Ringo's a fantastic drummer, but he wasn't classically trained or anything. And here's a weird time signature thing. And so the only thing that he could think of was just like, you know, just to put it in 1-2s and you know, combinations of 1-2s, 1-2-3s, right? It's 1-2-3, 1-2-3, 1-2-3, 1-2-3, 1-2-3, 4, or something like that. So it's just funny. Drop my pick. But it's just funny how he just got it. But that's all you need, right? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. But yeah, here's the part. And then he goes right back into the verse. Little darling. You know, it's just the same as that little intro. And then your chorus. That's where you hear the electric pop up, by the way. We'll hear that in a second. So that was all the same that we learned so far. D shape, G shape, and now it's an E7 shape. And you sort of emphasize that note. That's your vocal melody note. It's all right. And back to our 1, 2, 3. And that's your big turnaround. Yeah, okay, so from there it just repeats that again, the verse chorus. So after that chorus, whoop. And we're going to go into our bridge section. Just give 2 big hammers on that A7. All right, and that brings us to the bridge section, which is the other odd time signature part of this song. And maybe it was this one that Ringo was talking about on that on that interview. So this one it's 4 measures of 3, followed by a measure of 2, followed by a measure of 4, followed by a measure of 2, and then repeat. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. And it's such a great, beautiful part, right? So if you want to think of it in terms of chords, the way the chords go without picking the arpeggio, the first chord is A7 to bring you into it. Then it's an F shape, C shape, G shape with a, but you're not playing the full G, you're sort of landing on the major third of that G in the bass. And then the bottom of the G. So chords. So that's chordally what's happening. And I like to break it down like that so I remember on this sort of first part, the reason that is doing that, because it's like an A major. Right? So that little part is announcing that A7 outline, but the arpeggio is, I'll play it slowly. Again. Whoops. All right, I think it does it 5 times. But that's it. It's very, God, if you haven't played that part before, it's so satisfying to get that. You sound just like George. Okay, so when you come out of that, we're going to hang on that A7. And there's a sort of a climb, a build up. And the notes that you're hearing that are climbing, that you're emphasizing, much like when you were emphasizing the vocal melody before. That's kind of how it's going to go. But we're going to play that full A7 chord, right? So I'll do that last arpeggio and we'll do the climb. So that's what the acoustic guitar is doing. The Moog organ and or George's electric guitar gets that note in there, right? Somebody hits before you get to that, but it's not the acoustic. The acoustic actually does not hit that note. Doesn't do that. It just goes. And then we're into our sort of our last verse and chorus. Before we do that though, let me jump out and let's talk about the electric guitar part because that's super interesting. All right, which brings us to the electric guitar. And there is a very faint electric guitar set back in the mix a little bit, and it's what George was using a lot during this period, which was either his Strat or his Tele through a Leslie rotating speaker. So that showed up on a lot of this era, 69-ish, 69, 70 era George Harrison. So I'm using my Neo Instruments Ventilator 2 to get that. So I'm not really sure what the setting is that George had, but that's where I've got it. So same thing as the acoustic, we're capoed on the 7th fret. And what he did with the acoustic was to just highlight, add a little bit of sparkle behind doubling some of the acoustic that's already happening on that, right? So, you know, there's a couple places where this guitar shows up, and it shows up, we've already sort of learned the parts, but it on the acoustic, but it shows up on this part in the very beginning. You know, in fact, every time it does that. Like every time it does that in the song, that is one of the parts where it shows up. It shows up a little bit on sort of a call and response during the verses. Maybe it starts in the second verse or chorus, like when he sings, "Here comes the sun, here comes the sun," and you hear the, you know, the keyboards and everything else doing the riff along with the acoustic guitar, you know, but you also hear this. Just that little thing, which, you know, once you hear it, you're like, oh yeah, that is in there. And then he lays off, and that's it, you know. And then maybe there's a little bit of time where you might hear it pop up in the mix where he's doing the, maybe, but I don't think so. I think it's really just a couple of parts. Doesn't do anything during this. You know, that's not happening during that part. So it's really just, you know, that whole thing going on, and the call and respond. And maybe on the outro, it's sort of showing up a little more as it's, you know, doubling all those parts. And then it doesn't do the outro, which we'll learn in a minute. But it's just those little parts that sort of sparkle and add a lot of flair. And if you're playing this live, if you've got the ability to do something like this, just keep in mind when you're doing it, you probably don't have a keyboard usually when you're doing this live, right? So you get to sort of hold down the keyboard / this sort of part if you've got, you know, a chorus or a rotary, you know. So just sort of sprinkle it in there. Don't overplay it, but one other part where this might show up is that little, you know, after the all of those that are going on. It doesn't play that part, but on the out, you know, when that's sort of building on the end, you know, it might sort of creep in. You know, it might be part of that, but the key to this sounding really great is that it's sparse and it's sort of not overtaking everything, and it just supports everything else that's happening in the song. All right, so after that bridge section, and by the way, if you haven't seen this guy's channel, Mike Pachelli, fantastic Beatles content, and he's one of these guys that I like to think I'm this guy, but I'm not. I don't have the time or the patience to go to the absolute minute detail that he does. But you might want to see that, because he does things like on this part, he'll break down the strum and how the strum patterns change on each one of those 5. You know what I mean? On the, like I think one of them or a couple of them do. And then the next one might be, you know what I mean? But anyway, I'll link his video here. But another great resource if you want to jump down the Here Comes the Sun rabbit hole and get to that level of detail. Okay, so all that's left now going out is last verse, which you're playing pretty much how we were playing it. What you're also hearing throughout the song, in my opinion, is a second acoustic guitar, by the way. So, and it sort of picks up midway second verse. It's not exactly doubling what the regular one is doing. Like we were... you know, vocal melody with a little bit of the chord support. This second acoustic guitar is, in my opinion, is accentuating the vocal melody only. Like it's only playing those little... you know. Anyway, just listen for that, because it sort of, it makes sense to me, because it's sort of like as that first guitar is playing all of the supporting stuff and getting the vocal melody line. When you listen to that, like those parts sparkle, like those little high notes, and when you're listening to the isolated tracks, which you can find on YouTube and things, I think that's what's going on. Could be wrong, but that's my impression of what's going on. But anyway, goes through the exact same verse chorus. And this part. And then we're to our outro. And on the outro part, it's just we're gonna repeat that little Here Comes the Sun chorus part. Right? Here comes the sun. And you do it again. And this last one, that's the only one, it's the only time he does it that way. And then our fabulous outro is just doing that part of the bridge again, and it's just breaking it down, slowing it down as we come to the end. One guitar, I think, does the full strum. The other one, I think, just hits that note really hard. I think. All right, kids. Well, that's my take on Here Comes the Sun. I hope you learned something new today. So if this is the kind of thing that you like and you haven't done so yet, please jump down, click subscribe, ring the bell. Bell will tell you when I drop new content, and I'll do that every single week. Let me know in the comments what you thought about this, and if there's another song you want me to take on and do something similar, let me know what that is. And until next week, take care, everybody.